Our next guest is Betty Chronic. Betty and her husband moved to Boulder in 1948 to attend the University of Colorado. Betty loved Boulder from the start and decided never to leave. Through the years when I was working as a sales associate for the Hotel Boulderado, I had worked with Betty for functions that she organized for Historic Boulder. And we're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
Betty, I recall you telling me an interesting anecdote about how you were first referred to the Hotel Boulderado, particularly to the restaurant. Will you please tell us a little about that?
Yes. We didn't have much money, as students didn't in those days, so the Boulderado didn't have a dining room, as I recall, when we first came here, but nobody really ate out, and Boulder was dry. We didn't have any liquor, any wine. There was 3-2 beer in taverns, but polite ladies and their husbands didn't go to those places in Boulder very frequently. So we didn't know too much about the Boulderado, except we thought it was a wonderful hotel. We were over here a few times in the first few years while we were students, visiting people who were permanent residents of the hotel and lived way high up in the hotel, and it was sort of quiet and subdued and lots of dark space, but there was no glass ceiling and no atrium look. And I went to the hospital to have our first child, and we went to the sanitarium, and Dr. Joe Kogel was my doctor. And in those days, ladies stayed in the hospital for 5 days with their new babies. And Dr. Joe had children of his own. And on the 4th day of my stay, he said, "Betty, I want Bill to bring you something nice to wear tonight because the two of you are going out to dinner tonight. And you may choose any place you want, but you're checked out at 6 o'clock tonight, and you must be back by 10. And we'll take good care of your new daughter. And tomorrow you're going home, and this will be your last opportunity to be a couple without any responsibilities for a new life."
Oh,
so he was absolutely correct. And so I got all dressed up, and we went out, and all the nurses and all the staff at the sanitarium were used to his procedure. He was the only doctor that I know of that did that. And they all wished us a happy evening and assured us Barbara would be fine. So we came to dinner, and Bill said, "I've made reservations at the Boulderado." And I said, "We've never eaten there. I don't think I've been in the dining room but once." I said, "Isn't that the room with the black and white tile floor?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "I couldn't think of any place else to go, and I wanted it to be someplace good and someplace quiet, and you haven't had any meat for 4 days." Because at that point, the sanitarium was all Seventh-day Adventist and was vegetarian.
Oh, interesting.
So here we came. I can't remember who ran the restaurant at that time. I just remember that it was quiet and peaceful. There were people in there. There was a businessmen's group having dinner, and several couples, and some permanent residents who were at a table enjoying one another's company. And we had a wonderful, wonderful dinner. The porch was still wide open. It had not been enclosed at that time, and people were sitting on the porch even though it was March.
Huh.
And we had dinner, and I checked in by my appointed time at 10 o'clock. And from then on, the Boulderado has been one of our very favorite places.
Great. Thank you so much. What year was that?
1952.